Welcome to the Data Scientist Podcast with Dr. Stylianos Kampakis. Dr. Kampakis is a data scientist, statistician, and blockchain expert with a mission to educate the public about the wonderful capabilities of technologies like AI, data science, and DLTs. These technologies have the potential to transform the world, the economy, and our lives. However, there is too much misinformation around tech, and so most people are just confused about what is true and what is not. Whether you are a CEO, an entrepreneur, or just an enthusiast, the Data Scientist Podcast helps you separate reality from hype.
Hi everyone. In this episode, I want to discuss whether we are about to experience another AI winter and whether this is going to come due to the results of misinformation surrounding artificial intelligence. So I was recently reading a very interesting article on The Gradient, a very interesting publication about machine learning. And what this article was describing is that we're experiencing once again a large wave of misinformation around artificial intelligence and the capabilities of artificial intelligence. For those of you who do not know much about the history of AI, there had been a couple of incidents called AI winters in the 70s and the 80s when the AI market crashed. So in those days, the researchers, but also the private sector, they overpromised and they believed that they would have solved many important problems like the problem of computer vision or translating language. And obviously this didn't happen. And once the expectations were not met, the market became very skeptical about funding further AI projects. So this led to around 10 years of lost research for AI, but in reality it's difficult to blame the market when the expectations were so wrong. So for example, there's this famous anecdote of a student in 1966 in MIT being assigned the problem of solving computer vision within one summer. Well, computer vision is still not a solved problem, so you understand how ridiculous this sounds now in hindsight. So in the last few years, we've experienced an explosion of interesting AI applications, and I guess one of the reasons that you're listening to this podcast is because you are fascinated by data science as much as I am and many other people are. And this fascination really stems from the fact that, yes, data science, machine learning, AI, they're great for so many different things. And nevertheless, it looks like there seems to be a trend of misinformation or maybe of inflating achievements, and really not many people are aware of this. And this article by The Gradient, called An Epidemic of AI Misinformation, presents some very interesting examples of when this happened. So, in an article by The Economist in November 2019, The Economist was writing about OpenAI's GPT-2 model, which is a natural language model for generating language. And OpenAI said that this model is so accurate that they decided not to release the code because they were afraid it might be used to generate fake news. So apparently, it looks like that in one of the benchmarks where this model was used with impressive results, the results were curated by a human. So the model, basically the researchers, they didn't just choose the first answer that the model gave, but the model gave a few different options, and then the human decided which option looks the best, based on various factors like coherence or humor. And apparently this is not something that was communicated clearly to the public. And similarly, OpenAI, again, they announced that they created a robotic arm which can solve Rubik's Cube. And in reality, what they did is create a robotic arm which can manipulate Rubik's Cube, but the solution to Rubik's Cube was not achieved by the robotic arm or some kind of AI. They just used an algorithm which was created in 1992. Furthermore, the robotic arm was helped by Bluetooth. So apparently there were some Bluetooth sensors which helped the arm understand how to basically manipulate the cube. And another interesting example is a couple of papers in MIT Technology Review where the researchers saying that the neural network solved the three-body problem in physics 100 million times faster. And when you drill down into the details, you see that the neural network solved a very simple approximation of the original problem. So it's not like they found the perfect solution of the original difficult problem. So these are some clear cases of, I wouldn't say misinformation, but again, it's certainly not the clear picture. And researchers are not really very keen on falsifying any claims which are not true, which further adds to the confusion. And apparently, some of the biggest names in deep learning, unfortunately, they also spread some, I wouldn't say they spread misinformation. I mean, they share their opinions, but probably their opinions are more optimistic than they should be. For example, in 2015, on an interview for The Guardian, Jeff Hinton said that we are very close to developing machines with human-like intelligence. And now, 4 or 5 years later, we still don't have machines that can hold a natural conversation. Actually, I remember a few years ago when chatbots were super popular. Essentially, chatbots, what they still are glorified flowcharts. Yeah. And similarly, Hinton said that in the near future, radiologists won't be needed because we will have computer vision systems to basically to scan images and discover any potential issues, any potential health issues. But the reality is that still we're not there yet. And actually, there is in the US right now a shortage of radiologists. So these kind of claims do not really help with anything. And then there are some similar examples for other prominent figures in machine learning, like Andrew Ng or Yann LeCun, saying that yes, very soon we're going to have general AI or smart robots, even though we're not there yet. And also companies like DeepMind, they produce all these interesting and exciting results about algorithms being able to play games. And they say, yes, we're getting one step closer to real intelligence. But then again, creating an algorithm which can beat StarCraft, which can beat any human in StarCraft is very impressive. It's also AlphaGo, the algorithm that DeepMind created to beat the game of Go. That's very interesting. But nevertheless, this is not directly connected to creating a smart robot or, having a conversation in natural language. So we are witnessing some great advances in machine learning and deep learning, but it looks like the people involved in this area, big researchers, big institutions, companies, they probably portray a more optimistic version of the world than a real and accurate version of the world. And I believe that there's a small risk of this leading to a new AI winter. I believe the risk is small and not big for the reason that there are actual real good use cases for AI right now. And machine learning has demonstrated its value, data science has demonstrated its value. So it's clear that we are onto something. Yeah, and there are many companies using algorithms for all sorts of things. But maybe we should stop using the word AI, given that artificial intelligence is associated mostly with the grand vision of recreating human intelligence inside the machine. We're not anywhere near close there yet, So we have some very smart algorithms for very particular problems, but we don't have an algorithm which resembles human intelligence yet. So I think that another reason for which the researchers or the companies might be inflating expectations could also be due to funding. Creating a craze around AI makes getting funding easier, I guess. But then again, if this happens a lot, it's not going to take a long time until, public bodies, private investors, venture capitals realize that things are not exactly as they're portrayed to be. So something that I would advise the listeners of this podcast is to be skeptical. Yeah. So unfortunately, there's so much misinformation on the internet, and that's not just around AI, around everything. And I'd say that while there's still some issues maybe about how AI is, portrayed, or the expectations that are being built up, I'd say that still the community is quite honest for now. Okay, and I hope this trend continues. But in any case, be skeptical. And if you're not sure about something, feel free to drop me an email. Always happy to have a conversation about machine learning, data science, blockchain. Just shoot me a message and we can discuss. So thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you found this informative, and I hope that now you feel a bit wiser. Thank you, and hope to see you again soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to visit thedatascientist.com for more content about data science, AI, and blockchain.